What up? Welcome to Blue Dope. Here we pick the brains of some of your favorite entrepreneurs and entertainers. Now, on today's episode, we have the opportunity to chat with Ashley Holder, sports anchor and reporter for NBC affiliate WGRZ. Now, Ashley joins us to speak about the launch of her career, working the sidelines for CBS Sports, and the challenges of broadcasting. At the same time, making history as the first Black woman sports anchor and reporter working regularly for a local TV affiliate in Western New York. Now, this is a good one, guys.
Ashley Holder. Hey, yo, what's up, y'all? Today we have a special guest on the show. She's special because not only is she an accomplished sports anchor and reporter, but she's my little cousin, y'all. Ashley Holder, what's up?
Yo, what's up? Thanks for having me. Even though I had to ask, you know. It is what it is. I wasn't asked beforehand, but it's fine.
Now, as soon as you asked, everybody's like, yo, who's this?
Exactly. Look, we're glad to have you here regardless, because your resume speaks volumes. And in all honesty, I'm very happy that this is a very West Indian-based influencer space that we're creating here. So, I mean, let us know about your roots, Miss Ashley Holder.
Yeah, well, you know, first of it, I've moved a bunch. Blue knows that. I've moved everywhere. My dad was a Marine, so... Wow. I was in New York, I was in California, North Carolina, Georgia, Pittsburgh. I moved for work from Missouri, Tennessee, all that other stuff. So, yeah, we're Trinidadian, you know, very proud of it. My father, born and raised. And, he grew up in New York, right in Long Island. And then we went to California and we were there for some time. And then we went to Pittsburgh. And then we went to North Carolina, back to Pittsburgh. And then I went to school in Tennessee at the University of Tennessee, and then got my first job in Atlanta, then went to Missouri with the Chiefs, and then went to Oregon for the Pac-12, and then ended up in Charlotte for a couple years. Now I'm in, then I went to CBS Sports for a while, and then coronavirus happened, so that kind of ruined everything. And, but, you know, was lucky and ended up in Buffalo with the Bills, who had a phenomenal historic season. So, I mean, I couldn't ask for anything better than that.
So we got to put you on the spot. Out of all those places, we need you to rank them in order. Top 5 cities you've lived in.
Okay. I'm gonna put New York as one because nothing's ever gonna compare to New York. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna do Atlanta because Atlanta's popping. You can always do something in Atlanta. Like, you always got to be able to do something. Then I'm gonna do Charlotte, California, but I really don't remember too much about it. But it's a big city, so it had to be fun at some point. I went to Disney World a couple times, or Disneyland a couple times, and then Pittsburgh because I love Pittsburgh. I thought it was fun for when I was there, but I also wasn't super grown there either. I left when I was like 15, 14.
So honestly, let's just get right to it. By the time we air this episode, the Super Bowl would have happened. In the Super Bowl, what would be your ideal 2021 Super Bowl? Like, who would be in that matchup? Which two teams?
Well, I'm gonna pick the Bills because I cover the Bills, and I want to go to the Super Bowl, and I want to get a Super Bowl ring. So I'm definitely gonna pick the Bills. If I had to say against who, I would just say the Patriots because the Bills hate the Patriots and Tom Brady has killed them for so long, for like over 2 decades. But now that Brady's gone, you know, I think it'd be nice for them to beat them. But that's impossible really for them to play because they're on the same side. So let me just go to the other side of the NFC. But that would be in a perfect world. But if it was the NFC, then I would pick the Bucks just because of Tom Brady.
So that was the next question. Who do you got?
Chiefs.
Okay.
No, I had the Chiefs. They're high-powered offense. And even though they beat us, the Bills played the worst game that they did the entire season. They waited to the very most important game to play the worst game. Yeah, they're a very good team. But the Chiefs are a very, 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 very good team. And I mean, it is hard to stop them. If you watch the game and you're honestly a football fan, if you watch their defensive coverage, they shut down Cole, Stephon, tight ends, running backs. I mean, their coverage was impeccable.
Immaculate.
Like to the point where Josh Allen could not find what to do. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. Like they shut everybody down. And then you look at on the other side, I mean, you have Kelsey. Then Cheetah didn't go off like that. Tyreek Hill didn't go off the first game. He only had 40 yards. But this one, he quadrupled it. He had, both him and Kelsey got over 100. And Patrick Mahomes, I mean, you saw he was going down and he spun around and still managed to get a first down. I can't remember who it got to. But, I mean, they're just
quote unquote hurt.
Yeah, exactly. We knew he. Come on. We know. I mean, the concussion protocol is so weird because it doesn't matter if you even attempt to look like, your head hurts or you fumbled or stumbled or whatever, they're going to take you out. So I think it was just a nice storyline for everyone to talk about. Like everyone knew that Mahomes was going to play. So I definitely think, no doubt, I think they'll go back to back. And it's the best chance for them to go back to back. They should go back to back. I'm surprised that Tampa Bay is there because Tampa Bay is only there not because of Tom Brady. They're there because of that defense. Their defense is crazy. Their defense is really, really good. But they're not there because of Tom Brady because that offense gave Green Bay buku amount of chances. And Green Bay had two. You got to remember, Green Bay had 2 picks from Jair who did not capitalize any points off of that. 2 picks. That's 12 points right there. At least not even one, not even a field goal off of it.
I personally feel that Brady definitely has to, he has something to prove. And I think that's what everyone's waiting to see. Can he do this by himself? He's trying to go down as the undisputed GOAT. Some people say he's the GOAT already, but I think a win makes him completely undisputed. With that said, though, I'm going to put a wager out there. You got Mahomes, right? So if Brady wins, you got to wear a Brady jersey. You got to make a video, send it to us. We going to post it.
Yeah, but that's fine. But who's going to get the Brady jersey?
You're like, you ain't getting it. We'll get you a Brady jersey.
Buy it, but I'm going to return it right to the store. Right back. And that's why I hated that, honestly, that Tampa Bay made it. Because now they're just going to say, oh, he took another team to the Super Bowl. And I was like,
well, I mean, that's what's on the line for him, though, right? He wants to prove that.
Yeah, I don't see Tampa Bay winning, though. I really don't.
I want to reverse it back because I know you went to school in Tennessee. And I heard you on another podcast, I guess, talking something about Memphis, right? So is it a natural rivalry between Tennessee and just University of Memphis?
It's really not because a lot of people don't pay attention to Memphis. When you're in Tennessee, you think of college sports, you're going to think of University of Tennessee. A lot of people do not think about Memphis. The only memory I have really of Memphis, well, let's not even talk about football. The only time I saw them is when I covered them for CBS Sports. But the real memory I have of them is when Derek I almost said Favors. Derrick Rose was there. I mean, that's the biggest. Yeah. That's the biggest person. Yeah, and then before that, you have Penny Hardaway. I wasn't even alive then. So, Derrick Rose is the only one I remember really that put Memphis on the map. But for Tennessee, their more rivals are like. I don't want to say Bama because that's just football wise. But let's just say I don't know, basketball. You're looking at the Georgias and. Auburn, maybe just whoever has good players at time. For a long time, it was Kentucky because Kentucky was so good. But now, it kind of looks like they're on, I don't want to say a decline, but more and more bigger players are going other places, Yeah, that's kind of how they are. In Tennessee basketball, the guys, I haven't paid attention to the girls, but I know the guys are doing pretty well because off another side, my little cousin is on that team. So it's cool to see him play at my alma mater. So
I see you shouting him out too all the time. But it's funny because of Penny Hardaway, I mean, when he was in the NBA, I was such a big fan that I became a Memphis fan automatically once he became the head coach. So, it's like I went out there, I guess that was 2019, and I didn't even know how big Wiseman was going to be. But it's like I'm hanging out. I met him. I met Precious and all those guys. And I think they're going to do some phenomenal things. But it's interesting to just hear because I think Tennessee might have held it down for a long time, but Penny, or at least on the basketball side, he's starting to bring a lot of attention to Memphis, and he's bringing those top 25 recruits in the country. He's bringing them in.
Well, who else is top 25 besides Wiseman?
I mean, last year it was Precious. Boogie Ellis was he was in the top 25. I think he went down a little bit this year, like Lester Kionis. So last year was definitely a squad.
He's bringing in students that are good and stay stagnant or are good and then decline. Former players who are head coaches do not always end up being good. That's a big thing at Michigan. forget his name, from the Heat is there now. He's the head coach at Michigan. And
you talk about Juwan Howard?
Yeah, exactly. Juwan Howard is the head coach at Michigan. And I don't know how they've done, but they don't always translate just because it's like if Michael Jordan went and had a college basketball team, I don't think that they would be good unless every big player just naturally came there because of MJ. And the Charlotte Hornets are an exact reason of why I'm saying that. It doesn't equate to it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I have a very love and basketball, brown sugar-esque question for you. Very Sanaa Lathan romantic comedy question. Mm-hmm. When and how did you first fall in love with sports?
I don't know, man. I've always watched sports growing up. Like my grandfather watched football a lot. My dad watched football a lot. Just really everybody watched football and basketball. And naturally I played basketball because I was just tall. So it didn't make it very, tough to kind of get into it. And I don't think that I knew I was even going to do, like, I loved it, but I wouldn't even say I was like, just obsessed with it. You know what I mean? I don't think that really came until like I graduated. I kind of just played because I felt like I had to. And that's how I went to school and it was free and stuff like that. And, I think I started really, really getting into it. Like once I could start going into actual like pro locker rooms, like that's kind of different as like an 18-year-old and stuff like that. And you're going into pro locker rooms. And once you get out of the like being starstruck or whatever and stuff like that, and then getting over the nervousness and stuff like that, I just think it was fun. And I was like, this is kind of crazy that it's a job because a lot of people, it can be stressful, but I would rather, the fact that I do that over a 9 to 5, not like, downing anybody or anything. Like a job is a job and is phenomenal. But I think you have to think about how blessed you are to, I got to go talk about Stephon Diggs. I can't complain too much about that. You know what I mean? Right. So, yeah, I would say probably not till like I really graduated is when I really fell in love with it. Before it was something I played because I was forced in it. I was tall, so everybody was like, I want you to be on my team. Yeah, basketball. I could be terrible. Yeah. So I never even got past like being able to tell nobody no.
Do you find nowadays too, is it almost like a prerequisite to be a sportscaster that you had been an athlete at some point? Because I remember even like watching Cheryl Miller as a kid. I honestly didn't know anything about her sports history, right? Her as an athlete herself, but then it's kind of like you start figuring it out. And a second question to that: are there certain women athletes that have come up, that past or present, that you just had a great admiration for?
I don't think you have to be an athlete to do this. I think maybe you have to be an athlete as far as a guy. Like maybe it's more on that. But I don't want to say this, but, and I hate saying this, I don't feel like if you're attractive and you at least know what you're talking about, it's that hard for a girl. I'm sorry, I just don't. I know people want to fight and think it's this other thing, but I think you do have to know what you're talking about. But let's be honest, what like person on a high level have you seen that looks a hot mess? Nobody. Like, not really. So I just feel like for women it's easier because men have an easier time talking to women. I do believe that. I think that's true. So I wouldn't say like I don't want to say for females you have to. I think they look at if you played some type of sport, it looks good to just say that you did, or you played, if you happen to play in a D1 or D2 or D3, whatever it is, to mention it. But I still think the world is still superficial sometimes, so I can't lie about that. But athletes like that are in it now that I've grown up looking at, I can't really say anything. But I love Doris Burke, obviously. Like, I love her. She's amazing. She's on everything. I love what Maria Taylor's doing. She was a former mentor of mine. And the fact that she's doing everything, there's like not anything that you don't see that girl doing. I love how she's so versatile. But someone I really, really loved was Michelle Beadle. Like I lived for their show in the afternoon. It's killing me now. I can't think of it because it's off the air now. It came on before Highly Questionable. before that got shut down too. But yeah, it's killing me because now it's been off for so long. I can't think of it, but I loved her show. I want to be, a primetime anchor. So that's really why I liked it. And it was a mixture. It was fun. They had Marcella's been on there, had all different type of people on there. And it was a fun show. So I really like those ladies and stuff like that. They do a good job. And you want to be versatile. That's why I've sidelined and I've anchored. But I think you get to a point too where you know exactly where your niches are. Elle Duncan, loved her. I interned for her. She was my first boss at B103 when I was like 19, So in college. So it's so crazy that she's now where she is. So it's literally freaking nuts for her because I want to say she was on like 25 when I met her and she was already on the radio prime time in Atlanta, killing it.
I mean, it sounds dope. That sounds like you had a lot of different mentors. And I wanted to ask, did you ever also have to cross genders for mentorship? Or did you feel that there were enough women in the league that you were able to get that direct mentorship there?
Well, my first mentor, actually real mentor, was Darren Haynes. And he was at ESPN and he's at WUSA in Washington, D.C. now. He's the reason why he helped me get my first job. So my first mentor was really a guy, and he really helped me. Like helped me put my tape together. He came to my mom's house and helped me. Like he was very dedicated to helping me, and I appreciate it because you never know if he wouldn't have. I don't know if I would have gotten into TV. So he definitely was my first one. There's another guy named Sherrod Blakely. He's in our NABJ. He's over our sports task force. He's a lot of mentors to a lot of people, and he's a great outlet. I mean, there's so many people that are good, but cross genders really doesn't matter to me. Whether you're a guy or a girl. I mean, you want to take advice and help from anybody, especially that's older than you, that's been through it. So I'm not opposed to talking to anybody. I could talk to someone younger than me that might be further than me, and see what everybody has different experiences. That's the thing in this business. Like, TV's fun, but it's really hard to get in, and it's even harder to stay in. It's difficult. Like, just imagine, like, to have these long contracts and to stay in these places are tough because you have to always fit someone else's picture. Like, if they like having a black girl right now, it works for them. But what if they don't want a black girl moving forward? They want a white blonde. They're not going to renew you. And then, you have to go through that process. That's why I would say TV's not for forever, but it's great right now. You always have to think about what are you going to do after? Because it's blessed. Like some people will stay on there for 30, 40, 50 years, but when it's going to be a long time before I start cracking.
Okay. So just with representation in general, we've seen over the years, we've seen Cheryl, we've seen Robin, and then now we're seeing more Black women being represented like Jamel Hill and Roz Gold, Taylor Rooks, just being a part of this new generation of sportscasters. So do you feel like it's a competitive race right now, seeing that, you don't have the control as a Black woman and they kind of dictate what they want to see in terms of representation? Or do you feel it's more as a cohesive group between you women as Black women?
You saying like if we get along and everything like that? Or feel like we have to be put up against each other?
Do you feel like in these spaces of being with other Black women who are sportscasters, is it a competitive energy or is it more a cohesive group?
First shout out to Roz Gold. Blue already know that's my girl. Used to be like a mentor. That's like a really good friend to me now. So that's my girl. And I'll say, for instance, Roz is someone that's helped me. Never had to feel like, oh, she's going to take my job or she's whatever. Like Roz brought me to NBA TV. She introduced me to people. She brought me around. Like she was never that type. And I feel like you will have girls that, they're going to be competitive and you don't want them to take your job. You don't want them here, whatever. But you get that feeling of who that is. And if that's who it is, then I would be away from them. You can't be like that with everybody,
That's why I wanted to differentiate the getting along as opposed to competitive energy, because there's a big difference between the two of, you cannot get along with somebody, you can get along with somebody, but is there an energy of competitiveness that is felt Because sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't.
Yeah. And I think it just depends what you do too, though, because everybody doesn't do the same thing. So you have to remember if you're an anchor or you're a reporter or something like that. I mean, the good thing is like you're not going up against people when it comes to games and stuff like that. Now, it might be kind of crazy if you have like me, 3 other girls that I know up for the same job that are sidelining for the Nets. Like that's kind of like, I'm sure someone would be disappointed if you didn't get that job or something like that. But you know, it just comes down to what people want and, you know, connections and how you do in your interview, how you do in your audition and stuff like that. I think in this industry, you have to get over the competitiveness because you're going to be competitive anything you're in. It's just you're in like you're being seen more than in what other jobs necessarily. But you want to be competitive because you don't want to get complacent, because if you get complacent, then you might get replaced. So, you know, you never want to take for granted. You always want to be finding different new ways to do stuff. I mean, look at what the pandemic, what it's forced people to do, like to go live, to start these like online shows, doing more Instagram lives. I can't stand Instagram lives. I don't really do them that much. I like to post edit all my stuff and everything to be perfect the way I want, but it forces you to kind of find different things to do and to keep your name out there and stuff like that. So yeah, it's always going to be competitive, but you're always going to know who's got your back. And, you know, I don't want to say that people don't, but you know, it's unrealistic to say you're going to get along with everybody, like, or that everybody's just a lovable, like, no, some people are going to be intimidated and some aren't, you know. I think Black women should do a better job of supporting each other. But I also feel like it's unrealistic at the same time in certain things, because I've had, you know, there's a specific person in upper management somewhere that has been nothing but rude to me since day one. And to me, it comes off like just intimidation, to be honest with you. I think some people don't like the way you look, or that a lot of people like you, or you're, you know, whatever. It could be whatever. Like I'm a butterfly. Like, so I'm talking to everybody, I'm whatever, you know, but some people are intimidated by that. And it's always sad when you see like things like scenarios like that. You wish that people would support you, but you know, you learn to keep going. If you don't have thick skin in this business, you ain't gonna make it. So that's why I'd be happy. I'm from New York. I'd be like, I don't care. I mean,
speaking of thick skin, was there ever a time where, because I've had those moments of, you know, maybe this wasn't the right career choice. Was there ever a time when, you know, it's just full of highs and lows and plenty of curveballs in betweens? Can you ever tell us about a time where things weren't so great and just how you were able to overcome that and just keep going forward?
Yeah, like, you know, I don't get scared of like my story and how things worked out. Like, I've gotten fired from a job. I want to say fired. No, I got fired from a job. I didn't get renewed before. You know, like you say, people hating on you. It just didn't work for me. They didn't like necessarily how much of a butterfly and attention I took. I didn't get renewed in Charlotte. That was a big downfall for me because I didn't know what I was going to do. And I was like trying to figure out for almost a year what I was going to do. So I always questioned, do I get out of it? Do I whatever? And then, you know, CBS Sports came along and a national thing picked me up. So I knew I was still supposed to do it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been fired. I haven't been renewed before. And those are hard because, you know, these sports jobs just don't come easy. Like, it's hard to get them. You know, media jobs are hard to get. So you're not only just fighting other people who've been in it forever, you're also fighting people who are coming out of college or people that, you know, whatever. So yeah, I mean, there was... Girl, 2018 to 19 was a terrible year. I mean, terrible year. It was one of the worst. So, yeah, and I don't know what kept me going, but I was just like, I guess what kept me going is like, this is what I want to do. I even got another job just in the meantime, just to be working and getting money, and I hated it. I even had a shirt I had to wear, and I was like, like, this is not for me, you know? I think the only thing I would think that I would ever do besides this is getting a PR. Like, that's eventually what I do want to do, is get in PR. So that's something I would look forward to doing at some point when, you know, the career of TV maybe slows down at some point.
No, I get you on that right there. You mentioned Charlotte. And for me, I was actually super excited when you were in Charlotte. And I think you were there at a time where you had Kemba Walker on the Hornets, but then you also had Cam Newton on the Sunday. So What was the whole experience like just being in Charlotte?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you this, I love the Hornets and I'm biased on them. I think they're the best organization I've ever worked with and around. I mean, everybody is a great organization that I've worked with, but I obviously spent the most time there. And when I tell you, like, from the bottom to the top, like the workers in the arena, PR was great. The players were awesome. Upper management, super nice. Michael Jordan was awesome. Spoke to you. You know, his mom spoke to you, things like that. They may not know your name, but they'll speak to you. So, you know, I think that time for me was really great because I got really close to those guys. Like, I mean, those guys, a lot of them are my friends, you know. I had such a good time there. I really did. Just people were great. And honestly, they were really, like, even though the Hornets were not that, well, they were good. They just always struggled to make it to a 7-8, which I don't know, because they were so, like, they're really a good team to make the playoffs. Like, now, how far you go in the playoffs, that's another thing. But they're really good to make the playoffs. So I think it was fun. And then obviously Kemba Walker, was he going to come back, making the All-Star game in Charlotte? That was an amazing experience. And watching him doing that in the hometown crowd, that was pretty fun. And when him leaving was a big deal. That was a sad point. I think it was really hard for him to make that decision what he should do. And then with the Panthers, even though they weren't good, I mean, it was always fun. It's always fun covering an NFL team, even if they're not the best, but they were still good enough. And Cam was a character. That's when Cam got into trouble for the girl running routes comment. So, I mean, it was not like, and while I was there, that's when they picked up Eric Reed. So that's when one of my interviews went viral with him, of asking about Stephen A. And Stephen A. retweeted me and went back and forth with Eric back. So, I mean, that was some nice notoriety right there. But it was cool though, man. Even though people talk stuff about Charlotte, if people just paid attention a little bit more, and I say athletes too, it would be really good, because Charlotte's still a big place. It's just, you're not getting Miami, you're not getting all this other stuff, but it's funny that people don't want to go there, but you know, you'll have bigger players that go to Utah. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, Charlotte's better than Utah, in my opinion. And then people start respecting the city a little bit more, because it to me, it really is they compare it to Atlanta, but it's just a smaller Atlanta. There's a lot of stuff to do, and their sports are good, and they got a lot, like, place that has NFL and NBA is pretty big.
So let's talk about Charlotte itself a bit, because I've always heard, I haven't been to Charlotte yet. At least I've obviously traveled through there to connect somewhere else. Yeah, I do. But I keep hearing it's like mini Atlanta. So that's accurate.
Yeah, I think so. And I say they say that because right now it's like one of the best places to be for Black entrepreneurs. Like, for some reason, they thrive really well there. There's always places to go. I mean, you can go to the clubs. There's hookah spots. You know, there's a lot of Black events that go down there, just events in general. There's a lot to do, like, in Charlotte, but it's not as busy as Atlanta because it's not as big. So I think that's why it's considered like that. And it does really well for African Americans, which I think is where they get the Atlanta comparison, because it's a lot of, it's a lot of diversity on it. But you have to go there. You need to go, obviously, when post-Corona.
So
you can go in
Charlotte pre-Corona, and it was a great time. I mean, it's clearly slower.
Did you do CIAA?
No, okay. I have family out there, so I was actually able to experience the city for what it is, and it's a little bit slower. I mean, everything's gonna be a little bit slower than New York, but it was still a great time. I mean, there's a large African American community out there, and a West Indian community out there as well.
Yeah,
so it was a great time. But I have a random question to ask you: did Cam Newton ever outdress you? Because I feel like he would definitely outdress me any day.
Like Cam Newton outdresses everybody.
Right.
I'm not wearing anything like Cam Newton wears. There might be like one or two things I might wear, but I don't know if I'd put them all together. But Cam can dress too. But let me tell you this too. I'm not gonna beat out anyone that has millions of dollars when it comes to dressing. Like, once you give me their type of money, then we can talk. But I don't got their type of money, and I'm not spending my money on what they spend their money on. You can't outdress no one that got millions of dollars. That got stylists coming to their house and hand just sewing hats for them. Like, nah. But I liked Cam's styles, even though some of it was a little like, but I liked his style. I thought he looked good in a lot of the stuff that he wore, and he wore it well. Like, I think Russell Westbrook wears more weird stuff than he does.
You have a point there.
Yeah, I think he wears more weird stuff than Cam Newton does, to be honest with you.
Now, in regards to some of these interviews that you've had over the years. I have my faves of yours, but which one was your favorite interview?
I'll probably have to say Vince Carter because I love Vince Carter. And it was like just a nice like conversation. He was just so cool.
So Vince Carter was actually my favorite one too. I was so upset. It was funny. I went to see the Nets play Miami, and I was in the same hotel in Miami. And I was like, the next day Atlanta came in, and I'm like, I might run into Vince. It might happen. It might be the place. And I met Trae Young, and it was so funny. I was still upset. Like I mean Vince Carter. He's one of my all-time favorites. It was dope when you interviewed him. I gotta ask, did you ever get the chance to interview KG? Because I know that's your guy.
No, I have not got a chance to interview him. I've only just talked to him, been cool with him and stuff like that. But one time I was really around him a couple of games. I was actually there with Roz. But yeah, I don't think I never got a chance to interview him because even when they came in, we didn't interview them. My favorite player is Kevin Garnett. I haven't really got a chance to interview him. Every time he came to play the Hornets, he never freaking played. So if they don't play, they don't talk. So didn't get to talk to him. Who I did think was pretty cool at the same time was D Wade, but we had to do it as a group. So but he was really cool as a person. I got to know him when All-Star Weekend when he had his last dance or whatever, final dinner and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
I mean, there's definitely a few things I wanted to touch on. You mentioned Jordan. You had to be around him. So what was it like just even being in his presence while you were there in Charlotte?
You get scared at first. I don't say scared, but you get like
unreal.
Yeah, it's like, that's freaking Michael Jordan. Like, that's crazy.
And we're in Charlotte.
Yeah, like it's crazy. But then after like that first season, you're like, all right. But Michael Jordan rarely talks to. He doesn't really talk to anybody. The only times that he talked to me, I was really cool with Fred Whitfield, Fred is his right hand man. And I did a lot of Black history stuff with Fred, which surprisingly, I was the only Black sports reporter anchor in that market, which made no sense. So it was really important for me to do a lot of that stuff. So I did a lot of stuff with him. And when MJ was with him, Fred would always speak to me and give me a hug and stuff like that. So MJ would speak, just say hello. He never knew my name, but I always had a pair of freaking Jordans on when I saw him. So it was lit. Like I had my Bretta 11s on with a red dress. He was like, okay, I see. I was like, yeah, you see it? Like,
word.
You know what I'm saying?
Jordan like the breads.
I was still, yeah. And I only wore 11s really like that because to me, they for some reason were comfortable to me. But yeah, every time I saw him, I had some Jordans on. So he always said something. He always just gave a little appreciation. But I ain't gonna lie, like I don't know where every shoe it came from. So I'm like, don't be asking me. I was like scared that dude was gonna ask me. I don't know if these the flu ones or what. I don't know what is what. Played in them. So but yeah, exactly. Once we get past that though, it's cool. Like I got more excited seeing like this. Probably away teams because you're just so close to them. Like when it comes to Charlotte, it's such a small arena. It's really, really small. So you're really, really close to them. And where we were, where the media was is right in front of where the visiting team. So it's like, I'm a LeBron hater. Like everyone knows that about me. But when I see LeBron in person, I'm like, hey, what's up? Good to see you. He's like, what's up, my sister? I'm like, what's up, my brother?
I think everyone who knows me for 15 years, I called LeBron James Princess James. He was Princess James, and then he joined my Lakers. And now I'm at this. I'm screaming at my TV. I'm going to the games like, LeBron, let's go, Bron.
The good thing is I don't have a team though. I don't have an NBA team. Everyone knows that about me because Kevin Garnett is retired, so that helped. And then my next one would have been wherever KD went, or excuse me, where it would have been Oklahoma because I truly wanted to see Oklahoma win a ring. I wanted to see KD and us win it together. So I was pissed when the whole thing happened. Like, of course, you're glad he won a ring and did his thing over there. But I really wanted to see Oklahoma City win a ring and win it for that city. Because I'm like, what is OKC ever going to get? Like, the only thing I know about OKC is the bombing that happened forever. Like, so I would have loved to see that happen for them because I don't foresee that. I don't know if that happens in my lifetime of them winning. So I wanted to see them do it together. I did. And I don't want to see them. I didn't really want to see them separately.
I mean, the crazy thing for me was the last time, obviously before the Lakers won the championship in 2020, the last time they were even in the playoffs was against that young Oklahoma team. And I remember every year, it was just like one year, LA saw them in the first round, LA handled them. Next year, they handled them in the second round. But then the year after that, Oklahoma kicked them out. So for me, it was actually hard. I didn't like Westbrook. I didn't like KD. I didn't like Harden. I opened up to KD because I like Steph so much. So while most people stopped liking KD when he went to the Warriors, I turned it around and I'm like, I love KD.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at it like everybody has these power threes or whatever, everybody's building their teams. And that's why I think it's hilarious when people say LeBron did it by himself. When, where, how, what, when, who, where. Like, no, he never did it by himself. He never did it by himself at Cleveland. He never did it. He damn sure did not do it by himself in Miami. And it pisses me off when people try and downplay. Now they want to downplay Ray Allen like he wasn't a freaking all-star. Like, all right, I cannot stand talking.
3-point assassin.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I'm like, so you think this dude did it by himself? Then you go to LA, like everybody's building a freaking team for a reason in order to do that. Hence what they did at the Warriors. I mean, everybody is doing that. I think eventually it'll work out one day for Miami too. If they keep on their path, and Bam Adebayo keeps doing well, Jimmy and Tyler Hero. I mean, that could be a big three down the line. You see how well they did last season. So, but I also, I get it. I don't care. I don't get the Lakers that ring. I don't count that. It sounds good. If I was a Lakers fan, if it was a Lakers fan, I'd count it though. But I just don't. So I feel like it was easy. Some people who you don't know could have made it, didn't make it. Things that could have happened in a regular scenario didn't happen. I get it's all hypothetical, but you also don't know what could have happened in a regular, normal world. And again, LeBron didn't do it by his freaking self. Like without AD, I don't think they would have won.
No, for sure. I mean, the last year before, you could see that. But, I mean, I think Milwaukee they were a result of that break happening. Like, I think Milwaukee would have been right there against the Lakers had it been a full season.
Right, exactly. And I'm curious to see what happens with them because they seem on a downslope. So, I don't know. I mean, I think Giannis stays there forever. I don't see why he would leave. But you just got to find someone who's willing to go to Milwaukee and live in Milwaukee for a while and work with him because – you move him out of there, I mean, you got a hell of a team wherever he goes. But it doesn't make sense for him to leave Milwaukee. I'm curious to see what the Nets do. I got a Nets hat up there, Nets beanie I've been wearing. So I hope they step it up. I hope they do. I really hope they do well because I want to get some gear. I was pissed that they discontinued the Coogee stuff.
But I think they just need a bench right now. And you're going to start seeing randoms on the team. I know you interviewed Lance Stevenson before. I keep predicting he's going to end up on Brooklyn. I see it.
Lance is a character. He's a funny dude. He's not playing though right now, right?
I know, he's not in the league right now.
I saw Iman just got back in, but Lance is just, but he's a good dude. Like he's a step under Patrick Beverly because he'll get in your head and ridiculous stuff. But I think Patrick Beverly might produce a little bit more than Lance. But also, people like Patrick Beverly, I don't think get enough credit. I think they give more credit to like Lou Williams, who's known as a 6-man guy, who is good. Patrick Beverly's really good too. He'll give you some buckets and he'll get in your head and he plays hard. He's a pest, and I think that's what makes him annoying and what makes him good. You know what I mean?
So I gotta ask. We've talked basketball, we've talked football. I think I know the answer. What is your preference between the two in terms of reporting?
I would have before I came here, I probably would have been 100% on basketball. I don't say before I got here, probably before Charlotte, it would have been 100% basketball. But covering the Panthers, covering the Bills, I truly love football. Like I really, really do. So I probably would say football at this point. And basketball now is taking a little bit of a backseat because the Raptors in Tampa, we really don't touch them much right now. But even so, if you ask me, did I want to be at a football game or a basketball game? Now I would probably say a football game over a basketball game. I want to get more into like hockey because there's an NHL team here. We have to cover them. And, learn a little bit more about baseball, which is funny because, I covered a World Series team that won when the Royals won in 15. So I had no idea what was going on. I'll tell you that right now. But I know how to cover it and pick it till I make it. So, which I did.
Was that when they beat the Mets? Was that 15?
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know who the heck they beat.
No, I think that was, so I was at that game when they won. It was Game 5, Citi Field. I was there. I never saw so many grown men crying in the stands. But all the Mets fans, I'm a Yankees fan, so I wasn't affected. But I was there. It was crazy. History.
Yeah. It was interesting. I mean, I just didn't appreciate it probably as much then because I just didn't know what was going on. I just got to Missouri not too long before that, and I was, it's a lot thrown at you when you don't know what's between at first. So I would say football right now. Basketball is obviously second. After that, I don't even know because I'm still getting right on my hockey and baseball. But boy, those names are hard. Those. Like, I'd be like, number 17. Like, I will give someone a nickname.
Those names.
Yeah, those names are crazy. And it's crazy because it's crazy to us. It's not crazy to them. It's crazy to us. It's very difficult sometimes. So
there's a lot of consonants.
It's like ZZZFYZ. I'm like, how do you even say that? Yeah. The girl I work with, she's a hockey junkie, and she's so good at pronouncing those names. Like, so good, like just rolls off her tongue. I'm like, damn, what? Like, I don't know how she gets it.
So what is it about football that gives it that edge? Because I'm literally listening to you talk about basketball and talk about the influence of, you playing the sport, all the players that you know and met, and how they play inside and out. So what is it about football that gives it that edge for you to say, that's your favorite at this point in time, or preference at this point in time?
Well, I think once it's just it's a more physical sport. Like, I would prefer to watch them hit each other than, just like bump or whatever. It's way more physical. I think like it's a lot harder to get points on the board. So it makes it, even more interesting. If you think about it in a basketball game, again, you're watching them pretty much every second down the court, someone's scoring. But I just like the physicalness of football. I just love how physical it is. And then also when you go to a stadium with like 100,000 people, it's completely different. And when you're down there with, in an arena that's holding like, I don't know how much the Hornets hold, we'll just say like 40, 50, like, it's just a different feeling too. I never got to sideline in that type of environment, but I've been in that since college, and it's just a different feeling. So I think that's what's put it up. And, just growing to like, even learn it even more, because I feel like when I do football, I'm always learning something new every day, all the time. Especially when you're switching teams, you're learning stuff about, parts of the game you didn't know. So something that this team struggled in, I may not have known much about. You know what I mean? I may not even paid attention that much to. So yeah, I would say just probably the physical and all that though.
So just in terms of, working in sports and news and being like, how do you go from being recruited from one network to the next?
Well, everybody has contracts though. So, let me not say everybody. You could be a freelancer, but 9 times out of 10, you have a contract. So you can't just pick up and leave. I mean, you could, but then you run the risk of being sued and things like that. If you're in it, like, you just leave Atlanta and go to, I don't know, let's just say you go to Boston. I mean, they could sue you. It's a big enough place. So it just depends. Wow. Like, and local TV is different than, when you go national, that type of stuff. It's, they have recruiters. It's harder to get in those. That's when you have your agents. Your agents are the ones that are really talking to those people and pushing you and things like that. So I've never really personally made contact with them until like I get interviewed or I get auditioned and stuff like that. Your management pretty much do that. Just like players have agents, so do we. But some people who stay local TV don't always have agents. They can make contact with the people themselves. Like, so it's like if someone comes here and their contract is for 2 years, by that year mark, at the first year, you're putting out your tape, you're looking at where you want to go. If you have an agent, you're already talking to your agent about where you want to go, stuff like that. If you don't, you're just pushing yourself and kind of betting on yourself at that point, which is possible. It's just, it's just harder to get once you move up, it's harder to get in touch with those people,
So, I mean, in the end, right, I guess Buffalo, they liked what you were doing. Right, you end up in Buffalo, and you end up there at a time where the Bills haven't even seen an AFC Championship in 27 years. I feel like you were the good luck charm. Would you say that?
Everyone says that. And I'm like, shoot, I'll take it. Like, I'll take it. I think Buffalo's been so good to me. Like, and I say,
like the teams are everything and the job is great, but the people that live here, it really is like a city of giving here. Like they're amazing. I've never been embraced by so many people. And I don't know if it's because I was Black or what, but like I've never been embraced so much like that here. We did a lot of write-ups like about how like I was the first Black woman anchor reporter here ever and things like that. And that's just is pretty cool like that. That's, you know, what I'll go down and, you know, as, and if I leave and, you know, go somewhere else or whatever, like, you know, I feel like I would definitely have done a good job whenever, if that happens, you know, that left my mark here and stuff like that. So,
I mean, it seems like the city of Buffalo is really embracing you, and you're coming into your own at a time where the music scene in Buffalo is getting there in terms of hip hop. So what was it like interviewing Griselda artists like Conway the Machine? I mean,
yeah, I thought it was cool. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who the heck Griselda was before I got here. I never really listened. I had heard of them, but I never have ever listened to them. And when I heard their music, like they played me some stuff, they put me some upcoming stuff. I've already heard Conway's upcoming album. It's fire, like it's flames for real. It's nice. He got some. I ain't gonna say like the features he got, but it's flames, bro. I wait to that.
Some exclusives.
I listened to the whole album. I've already heard everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's fun. Wow. I mean, but he had that other artist that came out, the Seven Genius or something. She just released hers. And then they got a guy that, I don't know if it's like Jockways or Jock something. Boy, he got a freaking banger with and I think it's Jeremiah. Ooh, fire! Like I need that. I don't know when that's dropping, but I need it. So when I tell you, like I'm telling you, you gonna rewind that back a few times. So yeah, I probably shouldn't say that, but I don't know. Whatever. But you know, fire. Like, and so now there are definitely people I listen to. As soon as the Bills won and got the AFC title, I won downtown. I was with my Conway. Was it like Jesus Christ or something? I was listening to that. Like I was bumping in everything, tagging them. So I'm definitely a fan now. It was cool talking to him. So much, like I said, I didn't know about him. I didn't know why, you know, little things we talked about. I didn't know why he talked that way. I didn't know he was shot a couple of times. Like, you know, so just getting to know people and stuff like that. I didn't get to talk to Benny the Butcher or West Side Gun. But, you know, I hope to be able to do that at some point. I would love to do something with all three of them together. But Conway's definitely a person that stays here. Like, home is home for him. He'll travel, but he loves Buffalo. I think Benny is like in Atlanta a lot, and the West Side is in LA and stuff, and goes back and forth. But I would love to do something with them together and get to meet them. And I do think just with them, yeah, Buffalo's getting on the scene, but you'd love to see more come from there. Like they've got basketball players. People didn't really pay attention to Jordan Nwora. He was drafted. I think he's with Milwaukee now. He was with Louisville. He was good. He's from here. Tennessee's got a guy from Buffalo. So, I mean, they got some places here. It's just, you know, it's a quiet town as far as like people showing notoriety. It's kind of hard when you got the borough. You got everybody coming from the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and, you know, Long Island, and you ain't really paying attention to Western New York. You know what I mean?
I think they've definitely been making their presence felt. And, you know, the Brooklyn folk, you know, for a long time, I think we were always in our own bubble. And then you realize the world's bigger and there's people with crazy stories. I love Benny the Butcher. I listen to him a lot. So, you know, shout outs to that whole Griselda. I mean, Buffalo has that insane pride, right? But I've known forever you've been a Steelers fan. You're a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. How is it? You know, you're definitely representing, speaking about the Bills all the time. Like, do you get flack for saying Bills, Bills, Bills?
I got killed when I was like, 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, all the way to 11-0. And then they're like, what are you going to do when y'all play them? I'm like, I'm going to do my job. Like, it's unrealistic. Like, everybody has sports. Like, everybody's a fan of somebody. So it's impossible to not like that. And that's the point of why you're in sports. What reporter, what anchor talks about sports all day and then has a team or doesn't have a favorite player? That's impossible. Like, so you know, before you're a freaking normal person, and like a normal person, you know, you do it and you don't get in trouble by your management or nothing. Like, you're a fan. You're never going to get in trouble for that. Yeah. You know, I'd get more in trouble rooting for the Bills than I did for the Steelers. So, what a disappointing way they went out. But, curious to see what happens with Big Ben. So, but yeah, like I got slack for it, but that's what makes it fun. I still talk back to it. I try and reply to a lot of people that hit me with stuff, you know, whether you're arguing with me or you're saying something nice or just having a conversation, I reply to you. So, you know, that's on them if they like the response or not.
So who's your favorite Steeler? Is it Big Ben?
My favorite all around Steeler was is a tie between Jerome Bettis and Troy Polamalu. I don't know if I like the bus or Troy more. It's too hard. If I had to pick right now, I like Chase Claypool. I think he's cool. But if I had to go vintage, of course I'm going to go, of course, Big Ben. But, man, my favorite Steeler is Mike Tomlin. He's a GOAT to me. He's a phenomenal coach. He's a winningest coach. Not winningest, but they have, a lot of winning seasons. I mean, I don't know, man. I love Mike Tomlin. I get scared when I talk to him. I love Mike Tomlin. I love Mike Tomlin. I really do. I truly love him with my heart. And he does not know who I am. But yeah, so I have to say, I know it sounds weird, but that's my favorite Steeler. I live for Mike Tomlin. I love him. And that damn fro. I mean, the dude puts a hat on and takes it off and fro's perfect. It's impossible to happen.
I definitely, the bus is one of my faves when him and Cordell Stewart was there. That was amazing time there.
Which is funny because I worked with Cordell Stewart in Atlanta, remember? At 92.9 The Game.
Yes.
And it's so crazy because Cordell writes me all the time. And it's just so crazy. I forget he's Cordell Stewart. I got over that really, really quick. I knew him more for when the Atlanta Housewives was going on and the whole him and Portia situation was going on when I was in Atlanta. So I was like, wow. But yeah, Cordell's super sweet, super nice. Yeah, I don't know, man. The bus, I had this pink shirt and was the bus is coming and it was a sweater and I don't know, I live for it. So, but I love Troy's hair and man, I don't know, man. I loved those teams. So, I hope to see them win another ring. I hope they win another ring.
I gotta shout out my man's Willie Colon. He went to school with Dope and Al Hofstra. I think he got a ring when he was out there. I know he was on a few squads, but I think he picked up his ring when he was at Pittsburgh. So, shouts to Willie.
Just for me, as a female DJ, people ask me all the time, about artists trying to holla at me and stuff. Is your world in sports similar in terms of, okay, growing up?
I mean, let's just keep it a buck. I'm a pretty girl with a big butt.
Right.
Of course, DMs popping, some of them will, I've never had no one that's tried to talk to me at work. I will say that. No one's ever been disrespectful in the locker room. No one's ever smacked my butt. No one's ever, I think the most crazy thing I've had is they used to yell wagon when I used to walk into a locker room. And I won't say what team, but they did do that. But I mean, I make joke out of it. I'm not, like I said, I got thick skin. I'm yeah, you see it. What's up? I'm so what we doing? You know what I mean? I don't want to work no more. Who gonna take me out this? You know what I mean? You just make jokes out of it. You say it, you well, what you gonna do with it? So you just make jokes with everybody. And I think that's why I've always been able to be cool with people. It's I don't take anything personally and stuff like that. Like I said, no one has ever disrespected me in an interview or a locker room or anything like that. I think if it got to that point, I would feel some type of way. But because it's never gotten to that, it just doesn't bother me. I mean, I don't no longer. I don't have a man, and I don't have kids yet. So, I want to get to the point where that happens. So, if no one's I think, you think yourself's beautiful, but if no one's commenting on it, you're going to be so I use this motivation, okay, I still got it. I'm still there.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah. So I don't get upset by it. Like I said, I think if I was getting people are inappropriate way too like that, maybe that'd be different. But again, I've never dealt with that. People super cool, and you learn over time to tell people to keep a relationship with them for work purposes, but also turn them down. Hey, you can hit with the boyfriend line, or you can just hit them I'm not into that or whatever. Because at the end of the day, everybody's gonna try you. Just like a regular guy in the club, he's gonna try you. He's gonna talk to you, and it's up to you to tell him no or to tell him yeah. That's anybody. So. I've never really dealt with anything too crazy though. So
good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It's just basic, I think the most thing not the most thing, but if anything I've dealt with is people. The only thing I don't like, but this is in any world, because you're cool with athletes and you have that relationship, some people can make inappropriate comments about you or try and guess of who you've been with or what you have going on or things like that. And that's what I hate. But I also know will never stop, even if you're not. It's just more heightened now because you're more known, But when you know what you do and you know how you present yourself, it doesn't bother you. My cousin is in the NBA and everybody has linked me to him. I don't want to say everybody, but some people will be like, oh yeah, that's his girlfriend. And we're like, it's my freaking cousin. You're an idiot. So I literally started referring to me as my cousin on every freaking thing because I'm Okay. Like, but people just assume it, just see stuff and they don't pay attention. So, I mean, now it's like, oh yeah, it's Ashley's cousin. Because I had to put it out there a million. Yeah, do it say 80 times. And for him to say 80 times, for me to say it, people would just put a pretty girl with somebody else or put him with an athlete and just, make it an assumption. That's why it's kind of hard. Like, you just have to figure out how you maneuver yourself. You know what I mean? Because these people, again, you're with them all the time. You're with them for years. You're with them for a whole season. You're with them, you meet their kids, you might meet their parents, you might meet their wives or their girlfriends or whatever, and you become friends with them. There's a lot of girlfriends that I'm still cool with from different teams that I hang out with to this day. And you think that those people eventually they invite you places and other people are there, and you just learn to just say like, I don't really get too upset about it because it's like, man, I'm a human at the end of the day. Like, I'm not going to not go somewhere because I'm like, oh my God, he's there. I'm like, no, I'm going to go.
Now, I got to ask too, now you've definitely covered a lot of the male side of sports, right? Men's sports. For you, just as a female woman athlete that came up, how do you feel about the state of women's sports, the attention or lack of attention it may or may not get? What is your stance on that right now?
I'm not a good person to ask that because I do not watch women's sports. Like, I feel bad because I don't watch it. I support it, but I don't watch it. And there was something that one of the girls said on one of the podcasts. I can't remember who it is, but it makes sense. It's like they get it because like it's not like a money maker. You know what I mean? Like, it is to a certain point, but it's not a money maker in some of those things. So it's cool that more people are paying attention to it and stuff like that. But I think people who are like, especially like in the WNBA and stuff like that, they just know that, you're never going to get as much respect as guys because it's the world is ran by money. So unless that's making billions of dollars, like guys do, I don't think it ever will get there. But at least more guys on the basketball teams are showing more attention to them, which brings people paying attention more and things like that. And you have bigger players like Candace Parker and upcoming people like, even though like you take her off the thing, just what Dwight Howard's making it work with Taya, like, she's just shining off the strength of her doing her own thing besides even on the court, which is cool. Brings more attention to the game too and herself and opportunities. So I think the most thing of women's sports that I've actually really watched has been you see everybody sports USA soccer. Like, when the Olympics come and the World Cup come and stuff, now that they gonna support them, all them women's in that sport, that relay, no one's missing the 4x4. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's tuned in, everybody's watching to see what soccer team does. Like, that's the only time I watch soccer is the World Cup, the only time. So
sure.
You look at that and that's cool to see those type of things happen and stuff like that. And, women's basketball too, when the Olympics come around. So you want them to get more recognition, but I think, it's better than what it was before. But money make the world go around, man. If it ain't bringing a whole bunch of money, it never is going to get a bunch of attention.
Say that
again. That's just what it is.
Say that one again.
Right.
So with all of that being said, what is next for Ashley Holder?
I'm still going to be here for a little bit. So, as far as that, I don't know. Past that, but I just think I'm going to continue to grow my brand here and pump out some good stories. I hope to, make it back to an AFC title game. And, I hope that Corona allows us to do more of the normal reporting that I'm used to rather than this Zoom. I cannot stand Zoom at this point. So I would love to get back into that, and just kind of find a new normal, have things open up. That's my hope, because I'll be here for a little bit. So, but past that, we'll see. You never know. I was in Missouri, Oregon, Charlotte, Buffalo. I don't know what the hell is next. Like, I could try and plan it, but it never works that way.